We're really, really excited to have something totally different for you today. As you can probably tell, you've been at Birchland a while now. We definitely believe in hard work. We definitely believe in getting your stuff done. We definitely believe in getting smarter, trying your best, and all of those things. But we also really believe in being positive, and smiling at school, feeling good, and doing things that help us feel good. So today we have someone here who's all about being positive, hashtag positivity, all about making us helping us feel good, helping us help others feel good, all of those different kinds of things. So I think I would actually go as far to call him a positivity expert. So I'm not going to talk anymore because we want to hear from him. So can we get a big round of applause for our positivity expert, Mr. Jonas Cain.
Thank you so much for that warm welcome. Yes, I am a positivity expert. Well, what does that mean? Well, I'm going to show you by using a little magic trick. Everyone go. One of the things I love about magic is it reminds us life is filled with surprises. But that's not the whole story. Oh, thank you. One person got it. That's okay. But perhaps, I should say whole story. Not in the sense of something missing, but whole in the sense of being complete. Therefore, it is a whole. Everyone go, ah. That was perfect. When we confuse this difference, life's surprises can get us so turned around, it can put us on the spot. Thank you. Now, some people, I know none of you, but some people see life's surprises as problems to be ignored, while others see them as opportunities to be explored. And since this is school, let's explore this a little closer. This spot is made by taking a hole and placing it in front of a hole. Makes sense, yes? So it's just an illusion. This spot, though, is different. If you look closely, why, there isn't a hole there at all. Everyone yell, surprise! You folks are so fun. Now when we embrace surprise, not as a whole, but as part of the whole, opportunities can truly pop up everywhere. Even in the most unlikely of places, helping us to grow to whole new heights. And when it comes to magic, well, that, my friends, is the whole story. Thank you. But I should say, not in the sense of something missing, but in the sense of being complete. Therefore, it is a whole. Because spelling counts, right? Thank you very much. I am so excited to be here. This is my second time here. I think it's been a few years since I was here, but I had such a great time last time. And one of the things that I most love about being at schools is it reminds me every time of my very first magic show. This is a 100% true story. I was 12 years old when I did my very first magic show, and it was in a school cafeteria, much like this. So this is sort of like coming home for me. And I brought with me, as to sort of be nostalgic, one of the very first magic tricks that I performed in my first magic show. Would you like to see it? Yeah! I was hoping you'd say that. Now mind you, I was 12 years old. I made it myself, perhaps you could tell. And it says magic show, but it's not the box itself. It's about what's inside the box. I have to be careful. I can't really see the tables. Inside the box, I have these giant-sized playing cards. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards. Now, in my very first magic show, what I did was I placed one card inside the box. And even though I placed one card away, I still had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards. Everyone was stunned silent, just like this. Perfect. But then, all at once, everyone threw their hands up in the air and they said, "That's amazing!" That was almost on cue. But don't worry, I'm going to give you another shot because I'm going to tell you another story. This one is going to be a little bit different though, because even though that was my first magic show for a real audience other than family, my very first magic show for real people was for my family. And I wasn't 12 years old. This was when I was just 6 years old. I did my very first magic show when I was just 6 years old, not in a school cafeteria, but I was in my parents' living room. I didn't even know how to spell yet. I didn't quite know how to do that yet, but I made up for it in passion. So inside the box, of course, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards. And I placed 1 and 2 cards away. And yet, I love that I have a soundtrack. This is perfect. And yet, I still had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards. Everyone was so amazed, they threw their hands up in the air and they sang. See, we're getting there. We're getting there. We had the hands that time. We had the words. There's just one thing lacking. It's the passion. It was the passion, but I don't blame you. I'm going to blame the story because perhaps it just didn't engage you enough. I'm going to give you one final shot. This time, I'm not going to tell you about the first magic show I did for a real audience because actually my first magic show ever of all time was in my bedroom for my stuffed animals. I had them all set up and I wasn't 6 years old, I was 3 years old. Little 3-year-old me in my bedroom, I had my little stuffed animals. I didn't even know how to make words yet, so I just scribbled all over the box. And I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards. And I placed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 cards away. Mind you, I was only 3 years old. I didn't know how to count yet. So of the 5 cards, I put 9 of them away. And yet, I still had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards. And when all the cards disappeared, everyone was so amazed, they threw their hands up in the air and they sang. Give yourselves a big hand. That was fantastic. If you take a closer look at this story, you'll see that I never got comfortable just staying where I was, right? I didn't stay content just performing for my stuffed animals. I didn't stay just happy performing for my family. Every step of the way, I kept growing and growing and stepping outside of my comfort zone to try new things. This is one of the most positive things that we can do for ourselves, because imagine this, if I had done that, I wouldn't be here today, and you would probably be in the classroom doing something else other than a magic show. So really, stepping outside of our comfort zone is one of the most kindest things that we can do for ourselves. In fact, I like to suggest that there are 3 very important things that we can use to incorporate more positivity and more kindness for ourselves and others. And I brought along my note cards. Thank you. Jokes are free, by the way. No one would pay for them, so I had to give them away for free. There are 3 very important things. Number 1, always offer to help others. There's always an opportunity to help others along the way. Instead of just ignoring people as you're walking down the street or going about your day, offer to help them along the way. The other thing is to listen to understand. So the most negative experiences in our lives happen when we hear what people are saying, but we interpret it based off of our own assumptions and what we think they're talking about. So listening to understand is a kind thing that we can do for others. And my personal favorite, always, always do your best. I'm going to be talking about these 3 big ideas throughout this magic show. And to start off, we're going to start with helping each other and listening to each other with a little magic riddle. Think of this as a visual riddle. Everyone go... I really do like you folks. Watch close. With a knot tied in the handkerchief, is it possible to get the knot out without me untying it? Is it possible? I'm hearing some yeses, some no's. Now remember, it is a magic show, so it is possible. But instead of asking maybe if we ask the question, can I do this? The answer probably is no. But if we ask, how can I do this? That presumes there is a way, we just have to find it. So what are some of the possibilities? How do I get the knot out of here without me untying it? Yes? Yeah. Oh, that's the winning answer. What's your name? Connor? Con. I'm Jonas. Nice to see you, Con. Everyone say hi, Con. Hi. So Cain had the right answer. He said, if the rule is that I can't untie it, I can just have someone else do it for me, right? We get by with a little help from our friends. But that's one, actually I was doing this recently and someone said, well, if the rule is you can't untie it, just take some scissors and cut it out. That's one way. That's certainly one way to do this. But there's also, of course, another way, using magic. Cain, do you know any magic words? Who's abracadabra? That's exactly right. We say the magic words, abracadabra. We wave the magic hand. Without untying it, we just slip the knot completely off. Every time I do this, people always say to me, they say Jonas, because that's my name. They say, Jonas, do it again. That was almost like you. Well, that is it. Thank you for asking. I would love to do it again, but there's a rule in magic. And the rule in magic is you never do the same trick twice. Cain, do you know why that is? Why we never do the same trick twice? Well, yeah, I suppose it will bore them eventually, right? If we keep doing it over and over again. Very good point. Oh, yes. Okay, did you all hear that? Because you never want to share your tricks. And the problem with doing it again is it takes away the surprise. If you know what's going to happen, it takes away the surprise and you have a better chance of figuring out how it's done. And then all of a sudden you're revealing all of your secrets. But there is an exception to this rule. And the exception is if I can't do it again, I can just have someone else do it for me. And I'd like to invite Cain up here. Cain, will you please join us up here? Give Cain a nice big hand. Come right over here. Oh my goodness. Cain, are you an acrobat?
No.
You could be. Nice to see you. Well, Cain, you saw the trick, so you know what's going to happen. You're going to take one hand on each side of the handkerchief. And you're going to pull the knot nice and tight. You're going to let go with your right hand. You're going to show your hand empty. Roll up your sleeve a little bit so no one thinks that you're hiding anything up there. Anything up your sleeve?
No.
Not that we know of. All right, take your magic hand, wave it over the handkerchief, and say the magic words.
Abracadabra.
He's a natural. Wrap your hand around the knot and just slip the knot right off. Big hand for very much. Please be very careful. Let me take this down. I don't want anyone to get hurt. I do have insurance, but part of being positive is doing everything we can to not get hurt. So that's very important. One more big hand for Cain. He did a wonderful job. Thank you very much. So it's always very important. It's always important to be willing to get by with a little help from our friends. And one of my favorite things today, as I was getting it set up, I heard the morning announcements, and I heard there was a joke of the day. Yeah. Every day. Isn't that just the best part of the day, right? I'm hearing some yeses, I'm hearing some no's. I'll tell you what. I have a joke book, and maybe this will give you folks some new material to use. This is called Absurd Jokes. Have you ever heard of this book? Do any of you have it? No? I'm not surprised, I wrote it. Hasn't quite caught on yet. It's called Absurd Jokes by Jonas, Cain. It's a compilation of some of my favorite jokes that I've heard over the years. I'm going to tell you 3 of these jokes, but here's what's neat about these jokes. Each of these 3 jokes that I'm going to tell you all have the same punchline. Different setup, same punchline. I'm going to read you the first one. Here it is. Why shouldn't you draw a circle? It's because it's pointless. You can use this one, right? Remember, same punchline, different setup. Why shouldn't you write with a broken pencil? There's no point, except because it's pointless. Oh my goodness. All right, last but not least, let's see if you can get this one. Why should you not draw a circle with a broken pencil? You folks get me. You get me. You truly do. Here's what's going to happen. I'm going to have one of you. Let's see. Actually, who would like to choose a page from this book? Let me see the hands. We have lots of folks who would love to participate in this. This is going to be a hard one. Let's see. What's your name?
Maddie.
Maddie, where are you from?
Here.
You came all the way from the cafeteria just to see my show today. Thank you so much, Maddie. Here's what's going to happen. Maddie, you're going to choose a page from this joke book. Don't worry, I won't have you read a joke to us. You're just going to look at the very first word of whatever page it is that you choose. Make sense? So I'll flip through, and at any point, just say stop. Are you happy with this page? You know what I like about you, Maddie? You're happy. Bookmark goes into the book. You're going to look at the very first word of the page. Don't tell me what the word is, but do you see what it is? All right, I'll show someone else next to you just in case you forget. It happens sometimes. But do you remember what the word is? So I can take the bookmark out? You may hold on to the book. Ladies and gentlemen, is it possible that I could know the word that Maddie was going to think of before she even knew the word she was going to think of? Is it possible? Well, of course it's possible, because this is a magic show, right? Well, inside of my pocket, I have a piece of paper. And Maddie, on that piece of paper in my pocket, I have a word written down. Maddie, is it possible that the word written down on that piece of paper inside my pocket, is it possible that that is your word? Possibly, she says, yeah, it's possible. It's probably unlikely, but it is possible. Maddie, as soon as you say your word, I'm going to take the piece of paper out of my pocket, I'm going to hold it up high and show everyone. Maddie, for the first time, let me hold up the microphone for you so everyone can hear. That would make a little more sense, right? All right, Maddie, I got my hand on the paper. What is your word?
Eat.
Eat.
That's a dictionary.
It is a dictionary. How else am I going to do this? And if we look through the pages of the dictionary, we will find a word. Well, we find lots of words, but one of those words happens to be equal, electrolyte, elves. Here it is. Maddie, will you please verify so everyone, what word do you see there? Is it eat?
Yeah.
Give Maddie a nice big hand. Isn't that amazing? That's amazing, right? That's amazing. Now, I know, one of the biggest criticisms with this joke of a magic trick is that you thought it was going to be one word written on one piece of paper. However, if we go back in our minds, all of the words that I used were true. I didn't lie to you. I said there would be a piece of paper in my pocket with a word written down. That's exactly what we have. It's just that the way you interpreted the words were different than the way I was meaning them. We do this on ourselves every single day with our friends, with our enemies or our frenemies, with our parents, with our teachers. We hear everything that they're saying, but we don't step back to really wonder, what do they mean? Where are they coming from? What perspective are they using here? So I'm going to encourage you, one of the most positive things you can do for yourself, to be kind to yourself and to others, is to listen to understand. However, for those of us who did think I meant one word and one piece of paper, in the back of this dictionary, I have a very special piece of paper. It says #positivity on one side, but on the other side, it has a word written down. And Maddie, do you believe that your word is on here? You do believe, so I don't have to show you. Oh, you do want to see it. What was your word again? Eat. Let's hear it for Maddie. Maddie, you can keep the book as a souvenir, and you can also keep this magical Eat #positivity card as a souvenir. One more big hand for Maddie. Thank you so much. Listening to to understand is one of the most valuable things that we can use in our everyday lives. In fact, it is kind of like life. If we look at life like this, it's kind of like a riddle. Who likes riddles? I hate riddles. I can't stand them. And let me tell you why. I can't stand them because I am an emotional being experiencing a rational world. That's one of my problems. However, to grow and advance, what I like to do, I like to study riddles. I like to hear the solutions to the riddles, and then I reverse engineer them to figure out what clues they were giving me in the beginning. So I have a little riddle I'm going to give you now, and to do that I need my almost invisible table. And I also need 3 little white, invisible plastic cups. They're face down on the table. Can you all see the little white invisible cups face down on the table? Some of you can, which, amazing. Some of you can't, which makes sense because they're invisible. But what I like about it either way, good imagination. Oh, I almost forgot. I also have a little red invisible ball. Can you see the little red invisible ball? What's that? Well, it is invisible. Watch close. The ball wants to go underneath one of the cups, but it's not going to start there. It's going to start off inside my pocket. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to try and sneak the ball out of the pocket and place it back underneath one of the cups without any of you seeing, because, of course, it's invisible. But also because this is a magic trick. But here's the thing, you have to try and guess which cup has the ball, but you can only choose one. Do you think the ball is underneath cup number 1, cup number 2, or cup number 3? If you think you have an answer, don't say it out loud yet, but hold up your hand if you think you have an answer. Hold up your hand. Okay, I'm seeing lots of folks that have some possible solutions. Let's see, let's go over here. What cup do you think it's under?
2.
You think it's underneath cup number 2. Now remember that this is a riddle. What's your name?
Myelise.
Myelise says it's underneath cup number 2. Why is it underneath cup number 2?
I don't know.
Just because. Well, when it's multiple choice, really, it could be under any of them, right? So I'm going to give you a hint though. It is not underneath cup number 2. But very good guess. Give Myelise a nice big hand. Let's go right over here. What's your name?
Noel.
Noel. What cup is it under?
1.
Oh, cup number 1. Can you tell us why it's underneath cup number 1?
Because you touched that one a lot.
Oh, okay, so perhaps it was this subliminal message, right? Sort of touching the cup. Now, I'm going to give you a hint, Noel. You are absolutely right. It is underneath cup number 1. Give Noel a nice big hand. High five, high five. Right? You're number 1 because it's number 1. However, that's not the reason it's underneath cup number 1. Can anyone tell me why you think it's underneath cup number 1? Why is it under there?
Because it is.
Because it is. You know, that's one of the things about positivity. It's honoring reality. Positivity doesn't ignore reality. It doesn't ignore the fact that the microphone is feeding back. It doesn't ignore that. It just talks a little quieter, that's all. But it is what it is, right? It's underneath cup number 1 because it is. Do we have any other guesses? Let's go over here. Yeah.
When you put it down, you put it underneath.
Okay, so you're thinking about the sort of the magic part of it where I sort of snuck it underneath. That's a good guess. Oh, that's also not why it's under there. Let's get one more. Very good guess, though. Yes. Last one.
There's no ball.
Because there is no ball. A very creative answer. Also not the one I was looking for, but very creative. Thank you very much. What's your name?
Ryan.
Ryan. Big hand for Ryan. And big hand for everyone who had a guess. I'm going to tell you the answer to this riddle. And once you hear it, you're probably going to groan. You might be a little upset with me. But the reason the ball is underneath cup number 1 is because I told you that you could only choose one. Listening to understand. Having an inquiry sort of mind to understand what people mean when they say. So much negativity creeps into our lives when we hear everything that someone is saying. but we don't hear the intentions, the motivations. We don't hear what their agendas are. It takes cutting back to the core of what they actually mean. And to explore this just a little bit more, I brought with me the real cup number 1. Everyone go. And for Ryan, I actually did bring a ball. There is a ball. And let's see. Let's have this guy right here. What's your name? Owen? Oh, Rowan. Take a look at the cup. Make sure there's nothing inside the cup. And what's your name? Meilani. Take a look at the ball. Make sure the ball is okay. Now, if the cup happens to look like a toothbrush holder that you might find at Walmart, purely coincidental. And how does the ball look? How does the ball look? It looks like a ball. Now, if it happens to look like a cat's toy that you might find a cat playing with, I'll give it back to Pumpkin later. She's my cat. I love her so much. Let's try out this riddle. The ball wants to go inside the cup, but it's not going to start there. It's going to start off inside my pocket. I'm going to sneak the ball out of the pocket and place it back underneath the cup without any of you seeing. Are you ready? I said, are you ready? I said no. And now all we have to do is say the magic words, bippity boppity boo, and we get the ball. Now, I am going to ask for hands in just a moment, because the question becomes, every time I do this, people ask me, they say, Jonas, do it again. No, you don't want to see. Oh, yes, yes. Can you do it? Now remember, I personally can't do it again because there's the rule of magic. You never do the same trick twice for the same audience. However, there's always the exception to the rule. And the exception is if you do it with someone else doing it, or if we do it just a different sort of way. We're going to do this again. The ball wants to go under the cup, but it's not going to start there. It starts inside the pocket. Did you see it that time? You did see it that time. But here's the thing. Life's surprises, they're kind of like when things take us by surprise. Remember that card trick I did earlier with the spots and the holes, right? When we ignore these surprises and we try to avoid them, that's when negativity creeps into our lives, because that's when we stop growing, that's when we stop advancing. However, when we embrace those surprises, it's kind of like the age-old saying, when life gives us lemons, what do? We make orange juice. Who said that? Well, I suppose it is a magic show. I suppose if we really concentrate, then maybe we can. A few of you got that. I'm just squeezing out these jokes as best I can. These jokes are very appealing. Orange, I'm glad I came today. You can use all of these. So did you see it that time? Watch close. That's that lemon. That's that lemon I was talking about, because when life gives us lemons, what do? That's right, we make either lemonade or orange juice, whichever the case may be. Let's give everyone who helped out a nice big hand. Listening to understand, embracing life's surprises, helping others along the way. Now remember, when I was a kid, I hated riddles. But instead of avoiding riddles, I decided to investigate these riddles, to try and understand them, to advance my own understanding of them. In fact, not just riddles. Another thing I embraced was puzzles. Do you like puzzles? Anyone like puzzles? I hate puzzles. And the reason I hate puzzles, the same reason I can never figure them out. However, around the same time that I decided to investigate riddles, which is a sort of puzzle, I decided to try to embrace these puzzles. And there was a certain puzzle that when I was a little boy, I tried to avoid this like the plague. I'm of course talking about the Rubik's Cube. Who knows how to solve this? Jeffrey, Ryan does, a handful of us does, right? So many of us do. And the way you can do this in a number of ways. Number one is you can just go online and you could find someone who knows how to do it and you can solve it that way. Another way is to just sort of figure it out. Just spend years and years studying this thing. The route that I took was a combination of those two things. I sought help from people who knew how to solve it. So I went onto YouTube, I found tutorials, I saw people talking about all the different algorithms and all the different moves, and I've been practicing this. In fact, my best solve, up until recently, my fastest time solving this was 30 years. Because that was my first attempt. Because I spent the first 29 years, I spent the first 29 years avoiding this thing, so that's why it took so long. But then I spent a year. I dedicated a year, and I figured it out. And I'm going to show you the fruits of my labors. Ready? 36 years of my life right here. Now, some people at this point might question, well, they might say, well, yeah, that's amazing, one-handed solve, right? It's actually not as impressive as it looks, because who was the one who mixed this up? You. It was me. So, of course, I had a better chance of knowing how to solve this. But what if we had someone else mix this up? So let's see, let's go down. What's your name?
Sam.
All right, Sam is going to take the cube, and Sam is going to mix up the cube. Now, do you know how to solve this? Do you know how to solve it? No, well, that's okay, it's already solved. But you're just going to mix it up. Just really mix it up. Just sort of turn it around. Now, Sam can mix it up all he wants, because I'm going to solve this one. I'm kidding. We will also have this one mixed. But I want to demonstrate something with this cube while Sam mixes up his cube. With every turn that Sam is making with the cube, he's making one of 43 quintillion. Say it with me, quintillion. That's 43 quintillion different color combinations. That's the number 43 with 18 zeros after it. If you had a regulation size cube for all the different possibilities, that would cover the entire Earth's surface 275 times. The first question I have is, where would we put them all, right? Because that's a lot of... Is the cube mixed? Is the cube mixed? All right, let's give Sam a nice big hand. Thank you very much, Sam. Now, who else wants to mix this up? Let's go over this way. What's your name? Sophie. You may take the cube and just sort of give it a little mix. Just sort of give it a little mix. And Sophie's going to mix her cube. Now, think about this. It took me 30 years before I was able to solve it for the first time. 30 years. And I probably could have solved it a lot sooner if instead, just because things are difficult, that doesn't mean that we should try to avoid them to make life easier for us, right? So one of the most positive, most kind things that we can do for ourselves is to always embrace surprises, do the best that we can. Now, certainly, solving a Rubik's Cube, it's a silly thing, right? However, it does help us build confidence. When we build confidence in simple things, it helps us face the big things. Sophie, is the cube mixed? Let's give a big hand for Sophie. Thank you so much. All right. I'm going to solve one of these cubes now. However, think about this for a moment. The cubes were in someone else's hands. Two people say it. It was Sam and Sophie. So it's going to take me longer than just, 10 seconds, one-handed. In fact, I am going to have to use two hands in order to solve this. But who has a watch with a second hand? Does anyone have a watch with a second hand? Or maybe or do we have a clock? Oh, a clock has a second hand. So we're going to time and see how long this takes for me to solve this cube. And let's see. Take a quick look at this. I think I know where I need to go. All right, so we're going to start counting on 3, 2, and 1. Now, on a good day, well, I suppose on an average day, I can do this in about 90 seconds. If someone has really mixed up the cube really good, about 90 seconds. On a good day, I can do it in about 75 seconds. But on a really good day, I've been known to do it in about a minute. So we're going to see if it's an average day, a good day, or a really good day. How far have we gone so far? 32 seconds. We're doing not too bad. I mean, this one's pretty mixed up pretty good. Oh, I think I'm pretty close. I'm pretty close. How far are we now? 53? Oh my goodness, because that's incredible. Because one more turn and stop. How far do we get now? How many milliseconds? 81 milliseconds. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I am thrilled because even though this was mixed by one of you, I was able to beat even my best. 50, what was it, 53 you said? 53 seconds? 58, less than a minute. Solved, thank you very much. What's that? Now I know it doesn't look solved, but if we reinterpret what it means to be solved, because remember, there are 43 quintillion different solutions to the Rubik's Cube. 43 quintillion. We're likely to never see a solution like this ever again. So what I do, most people put the yellows on one side, they'll put the greens on one side, all the reds, but that's how everyone does it. So what I do to always grow and advance, I choose a new color combination and I solve it for that color combination, and this is the one I decided upon today. Thank you very much. That's amazing, he says, thank you. Now, I know some of you don't believe me because this is partially true. I'm telling you the truth, but I'm withholding some information. I didn't decide on this combination. See, Sophie and Sam did. On every side of the cube, they match perfectly. Not just on the sides, but on the bottom and on the top as well. So remember, one of the most positive, most kind things we can do for ourselves is never settle. Once we think we've achieved something, never get happy there, because our personal best is always found by doing more than expected. One more big hand for Sophie and Sam. They did a wonderful job. You may keep this as a souvenir. Sophie, you can keep this as a souvenir. Give them one more big hand. Thank you so much. Are we still having fun? Yes? Okay, because we are coming to my most favorite part of the show. And I know I don't need to use the word most in front of favorite, but I like to be dramatic. This is one of my most favorite parts of the show. This is the card trick. Everyone go, yay! Here's the idea. I'm going to have 3 of you choose cards at random from the deck. You don't have to come up here, but I'm going to come out to you. Let's go right over here. What's your name? Brianna? Oh, Brielle. Everyone say hi, Brielle. Brielle, I'm going to shuffle through the cards. Wherever you say stop, that's going to become your card. If you stop me towards the top, you'll get one of those. If you stop me towards the bottom, you'll get one of those. Make sense? Brielle, just say stop as I shuffle through the cards. Right there, take a look at your card. Do not let me see. I'll show the people around you just in case you forget, but don't forget. And Brielle, choose someone else. Someone who's not near you to choose the next card. Who's this person behind you? Who's that? Who is it? Ladies and gentlemen, everyone say hi, JP. JP, I'm going to shuffle the cards. Just say stop. Right there, take a look at your card. Don't tell me what it is. All right, don't tell me what it is. I'll show the people around you. And choose someone far away from you. I want to make sure we get as many people selected here as we can. Oh, well, that's 2 rows back, I suppose. What's your name? Gabrielle. Everyone say hi, Gabrielle. Hi. Gabrielle, are you enjoying the show? Yes? That's my favorite answer. That's a silent complacency. Gabrielle, it's actually kind of dangerous. Gabrielle, I'm going to shuffle through the cards. Just say stop as I shuffle through. All right, there, take a look. Do not tell me what your card is. I'll show the people around you. And can I put it back? Are you going to remember it? All right, here's what's going to happen. Gabrielle, you are the last person to select a card. So you're going to shuffle the cards, and I'm also going to give you the cards, and I'm going to give your friend here. What's your name? What's your name? Lorelei is going to hold the rubber band. So when Gabrielle is finished mixing the cards, you can mix them however you like. When she's done mixing, you're a great rubber band holder. You're doing great. You're going to give the rubber band to Gabrielle. Now, to finish this particular magic trick, I'm going to need some more help. Because think about this for a moment. Most card tricks just involve having people pick cards, shuffling them back in, and then finding them in some magical way. But I think we should maybe get one of the teachers involved. You see, he's pointing to other people, and everyone is pointing to you. What's your name?
Derek.
Derek? Mr. Derek. Let's give Mr. Derek a nice big hand. Yeah, come on up, Mr. Derek. You can come right this way. Now, I know we surprised you just now. But I'm pretty sure the reason that they chose you is because you're gullible. Because you're gullible. That's a great reason to be a part of a magic show. Well, Mr. Derek, here's what's going to happen. My job is to find those 3 playing cards. Your job is to make it difficult for me to find those cards, right? So this is actually perfect. You look like you're a strong guy. Is that true?
Massively strong.
Massively strong. We picked the right person. Thank you. Because I have something waiting for me backstage that you're going to help me with. I'm going to grab it right now. It's a straight jacket. I've never done it. Well, Mr. Derek, you're going to place me inside of the straight jacket. Now, I'm serious about this. I want you to put me in as tight as you can. I'm going to turn around so everyone can see what you're doing. There's a series of belt buckles tight. And you're going to start at the top and pull them as tight as you can and work all the way down to the bottom. Oh, that's perfect. You're doing great. Some of you may recognize this. This is a very popular stunt that a lot of the magicians on TV will do. It was popularized. The very first magician to use this in a magic show was a man named Harry Houdini. Have you ever heard of Harry Houdini? He was the first person to use this as a form of entertainment, because before then, it was used to restrain the criminally insane. Now, it's just, oh, there's one more now. It was used to restrain the criminally insane, but today, it's used to restrain magicians for your entertainment pleasure. Is that one nice and tight? We have one final strap, and this is for my arms. I'm going to turn around so everyone can see. So we have this here. This is a stunt that I never thought I would be able to perform. However, with Mr. Derek's help, I think we're going to be able to do just fine. Am I strapped in well? All right, there's one final thing I'm going to need you to do. The deck of cards. Gabrielle, will you bring the deck of cards up here and give them to Mr. Derek? Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Is the deck mixed? Is the deck mixed? You may place the cards on the stool, and I would shake your hand, but my hands are a little busy. I'll give you the elbow bump. This virus is anyway, you know, we have to be careful. And you did a fantastic job. Thank you so much. Give a nice big hand for the gullible and massively strong Mr. Darrell. All right, I had a wonderful timekeeper earlier who was able to get down to the millisecond. What's your name? Declan is going to keep track of the time right down to the millisecond to see how long it takes me to escape from this. Houdini used to do this in about 2.5 minutes. I'm going to see if I can break that record or break my own personal record of just over 2.5 hours. Whichever comes first. Declan, are you ready? Is everyone else ready? All right, I'm going to get this out of the way. 3. I'm going to count backwards from 3 to 1. When I get to 1, you start counting. 3, 2, 1. Find those 3 cards. Last one. I think this is always the hardest one. But I think this is it. This is the last card. But I still have to get out of this thing. Water break. Gotta stay hydrated. One of those positive things we can do for ourselves. All right, I think I almost got it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am now out of the straitjacket. Declan, how long did it take? Wait a second, how many milliseconds? 2 milliseconds, a new world record. Oh, 2 minutes, 6 seconds. Ladies and gentlemen, faster than Houdini. Thank you very much. And I'm also very exhausted. And we are almost out of time, so I think it's time for me to reveal if these are the 3 correct cards. If you chose a card, please hold up your hand so I can see where you are. Who chose the cards? We have 1, 2, and 3. When you hear your card, you'll say, yes, that's my card. You'll get a thunderous round of applause. Who chose the 3 of clubs? That's your card? Oh, a shuffled deck of cards. Thank you very much. All right, next card we have the King of Hearts. Whose was this? That was your card? I was in a straitjacket. We need a bigger round of applause because I was in a straitjacket and a shuffled deck of cards. So you can see this every day. All right, last but not least, Gabrielle, this has to be your card, Jack of Spades. Let's give her a nice... Was I close? So you're saying I was completely off. All right, well this is very disappointing because it's time for me to end the show. I'm not supposed to end on a sour note. This is not how we're supposed to end the show. It's supposed to end with, that was your card. However, I do like the symbolism here. Think about this. If we go back to the way beginning, life's surprises, when we embrace them, not as a whole, not as something is missing, but as part of the whole, helping to make our lives complete. These surprises, whether they're people who come into our lives, whether they're circumstances that are challenging, that instead of avoiding them, sort of like when life gives us lemons, instead of avoiding these lemons, if we instead cut to the very core, if we cut to the very core of what's troubling us, we're going to find there something that's waiting for us. And in this case, it's a rolled up playing card. It's just a little lemony, that's all. What card did you choose? Do you remember? The Two of Hearts. Are you sure it wasn't the Jack of Spades? It really was the Two of Hearts? Well, that is incredible because this is the Two of Hearts. Let's give her a nice big hand. Thank you so much. I'm a little lucky. You have been a fantastic audience. Give yourselves a nice big hand. Thank you so much. Listen to understand. Help others along the way. And always, always, always do your best. Thank you so much.
Come on, we can do better than that. One big round of applause for Mr.